Clash radar. Turn on notifications. Activate the bell for total political demolition. For decades, Washington had not braced for a political explosion of this magnitude. Whispers filled the Capitol's corridors, yet no one was prepared for the detonation Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett would trigger on the House floor that Tuesday morning. It began with a straightforward inquiry during the House Oversight Committee session. Chairman James Comer had concluded his opening statement regarding the expansion of the Jeffrey Epstein probe when Crockett moved toward her microphone. A hush fell over the chamber. If you're captivated already, ensure you subscribe. What unfolds next will truly astonish you. Mr. Chairman, Crockett's voice sliced through the thick air. Before this inquiry advances, the American public has a right to understand why our prior attempts to subpoena Ghislaine Maxwell were inexplicably thwarted. A few seats away, Marjorie Taylor Greene adjusted uneasily. She had spent years as a fierce defender, but Crockett's delivery hinted this was no ordinary hearing. The Congresswoman from Texas continued, her legal training evident in each precise syllable. We issued that subpoena 6 months prior. All approvals were secured. All preparations were final. Then, without warning, federal agents appeared at Maxwell's cell, not standard prison officials, but federal agents carrying very particular instructions. Drop a like if you believe corruption must be uncovered, irrespective of who's involved. Greene's knuckles whitened around her pen. She understood what was approaching. They all did. Congresswoman Crockett, Chairman Comer interjected, I'm uncertain of your direction here, but... Oh, I am certain, Crockett retorted, producing a manila folder that seemed to suspend the room's breath. Because I possess the communication logs right here. The camera focused on her face. This was the instant political observers had awaited, the moment someone voiced the silent truth. On March 15th at 2:47 p.m., this committee voted to subpoena Ghislaine Maxwell for testimony concerning Jeffrey Epstein's operations and possible government links. On March 16th, at 8:15 a.m., she was moved to solitary confinement. On March 17th at 1:30 p.m., federal agents arrived with orders that she was to have zero contact with congressional representatives. Enable notification so you never miss these shocking disclosures. Greene finally located her voice. This is absurd. You're implying. I am not implying, Crockett interrupted, her volume rising. I am stating facts. Here is another. Those federal agents reported directly to the White House transition team. The room exploded. Republicans yelled. Democrats fumed. The gallery hummed with energy. But Crockett wasn't finished. She raised another document. This is a March 18th communication from the Department of Justice, stating the Maxwell subpoena was postponed indefinitely, citing security concerns. Concerns that curiously emerged the day after our vote. Greene slammed the table. This is a partisan witch hunt meant to. Meant to what? Crockett's eyes flashed. Meant to discover the truth. That is the purpose of an investigation. Unless you have an issue with uncovering the truth, Congresswoman Greene. Comment if you believe politicians must answer for their actions, party notwithstanding. The atmosphere was electric. Years of political theater had culminated here, and everyone sensed a foundational shift. Greene stood, her face flushed. I refuse to listen to these groundless attacks against President Trump. This committee has become a circus. Sit down, Marjorie, Crockett stated calmly, not glancing up from her papers. I am only beginning. The gallery inhaled sharply. Veteran journalist Sarah Martinez had never witnessed such a direct clash in all her years covering Congress. This was personal. Crockett read from her folder. On March 19th, the Bureau of Prisons informed us Maxwell was in protective custody and unavailable for testimony. When we asked who authorized this, we were told it originated with high-level federal authorities. Share this video if you believe the truth must prevail. And here, Crockett paused, locking eyes with Greene, is where it becomes intriguing. Those same authorities were in direct contact with members of this very committee. Greene paled. "Are you accusing me of—" Greene began. "I am presenting evidence," Crockett severed her words. "Evidence of a coordinated campaign to obstruct congressional oversight of the Epstein investigation. Evidence of federal resources deployed to impede justice. Evidence that is conclusive." "Enough!" Greene shrieked, rising so abruptly her chair toppled. "These are insane, baseless claims." "Baseless?" Crockett's smile was cold. "Then let me read this March 20th email from an account registered to greenforfreedom@gmail.com. Dead silence. Subject: Maxwell's situation handled. Body: per our discussion, the Maxwell matter is resolved. She will not testify. The transition team appreciates your cooperation. Subscribe, because this narrative is about to intensify dramatically." Greene gaped, searching the room for an escape. That is not in context." "The context is evident," Crockett replied, arching a brow. "You aided in obstructing a congressional investigation into Jeffrey Epstein's network. You collaborated with federal agents to silence testimony that could expose government connections to his trafficking ring." Republican members whispered urgently. The situation was escalating beyond control. Furthermore, Crockett pressed, "This email chain shows correspondence between your office and the White House concerning the full Epstein files which, according to these records, contain information on current elected officials. Hit the notification bell for the next explosive development." Greene trembled. Years of defense, years of attacks, now collapsing around her. "I demand to see those emails." "You will," Crockett responded smoothly. "As will the entire nation, because I am submitting all evidence to the Department of Justice, the FBI, and the press. Transparency, is that not our mandate?" The hearing descended into bedlam. Reporters typed frantically. Committee members argued. C-SPAN recorded history. Greene appeared near collapse. This was not mere political damage, it was potential criminal obstruction. "Congresswoman Greene," Chairman Comer called. "Do you have a response?" Greene scanned the room, her career flashing before her. Would Trump discard her as he had others? Like this video if you believe in justice. Greene started, then halted. Gathering her papers with shaking hands, she muttered, "I need to make a call." As she moved toward the exit, Crockett's voice trailed her. "Take your time. But recall, the truth emerges eventually. The only choice is whether you help conceal it or help reveal it." The door slammed, a sound echoing like a gunshot. Members sat in stunned silence. In 30 years, no one had seen such a televised disintegration. Crockett calmly organized her documents and looked into the C-SPAN lens. The American people deserve answers about Epstein's operations, his enablers, and those who worked to bury them. This is genuine oversight. Share this to spread truth. 3 hours later, Marjorie Taylor Greene's office released a statement that reverberated through Washington. "After reflection, I will resign from Congress effective January 5th to pursue other opportunities." The brief message spoke volumes. She could not withstand the coming scrutiny. That evening, Crockett held an impromptu press conference in the Capitol Rotunda. "This is not about Republican versus Democrat," she declared, steady and assured. "This is about right versus wrong. We preach law and order, now we must prove it. When officials obstruct investigations into sex trafficking, we investigate. When elected figures work to conceal crimes, we hold them accountable." Comment your thoughts on this stunning turn. A reporter shouted, "Does Greene's resignation validate your accusations?" "It reveals she chose the wrong side," Crockett answered. "When pressure mounted, she retreated. That defines her character." "What of President Trump's role?" "The evidence is clear," Crockett said. documented coordination exists between his transition team and obstruction efforts. The public may conclude. Subscribe for updates on this developing story. But the story continued. Within hours, the DOJ confirmed receipt of Crockett's evidence and the opening of a formal obstruction probe. FBI leaks suggested the Epstein files contained more damaging information than known. A federal judge announced Maxwell would be available for testimony within 30 days, the security concerns now resolved. Analysts called it the largest congressional exposure since Watergate. Like if you believe investigations must continue. In her office that night, Crockett's chief of staff knocked. The phones are ringing endlessly. What is your next move? Crockett gazed at the illuminated Capitol dome. To continue my job, to fight for transparency, accountability, and justice. Even with the threats. Especially because of them, she smiled grimly. When power tries to silence you, you are over the target. Her phone buzzed. A poll showed her leading Texas Senate rivals by double digits. Share to show support for accountability. The next morning, talk shows debated the scandal. Some networks dismissed it as a partisan distraction, others treated it with grave seriousness. Notably, Trump's social media remained silent, a strategic retreat, insiders speculated. By week's end, 3 more Republican Congress members announced they would not seek re-election. The Epstein probe, once buried, was now national front-page news. Crockett, energized at the center of the storm, told a Dallas town hall, "I ran for Congress to hold power accountable, not to play games. This investigation is just beginning. We will follow the evidence, regardless of power." Comment if you believe Crockett should run for Senate. Washington spiraled. Lobbyists distanced themselves. Donors redirected funds. The White House, pressed on the transition team's role, denied presidential involvement. Yet Crockett's evidence indicated otherwise. Emails referenced briefing the president on the situation. Like if you believe politicians must meet the same standards. 2 weeks later, federal prosecutors expanded their Epstein investigation to include government corruption and obstruction, offering immunity for cooperation. 3 former Trump officials retained defense lawyers. Crockett's popularity surged. Polls showed her leading Senate opponents by shocking margins. Texas wants leaders who fight for truth, she told supporters at an event that felt like a campaign launch. Subscribe and hit the bell for breaking news. The ripple spread. Media investigations tied Epstein's network to foreign officials, Wall Street figures, and celebrities. Each revelation made Greene's resignation more telling. What had she feared? Republican leadership subtly distanced itself. Share to maintain pressure for accountability. 3 months later, the House Oversight Committee's interim report was devastating. Evidence of coordinated obstruction, politically motivated decisions, and payments to officials. It recommended criminal referrals for 5 individuals, including Marjorie Taylor Greene. Most shockingly, the obstruction had possibly allowed trafficking to continue. Like if you believe justice delayed is justice denied. Crockett addressed reporters in the same chamber. Today proves no one is above the law. Not former presidents, not Congress members, not those shielded by connections. The applause was thunderous. Comment your thoughts on this conclusion. 6 months later, as Crockett launched her Senate campaign as the front-runner, final pieces fell. Indictments for 3 former officials, Greene named an unindicted co-conspirator, the full Epstein files released, revealing the network's scope, and 12 survivors finally testifying. This is true justice, Crockett told a rally of thousands. Holding criminals accountable and ensuring survivors are heard. Smash subscribe if you believe in fighting for justice. Reflecting on her journey, from Texas lawyer to Washington reformer, she never wavered. Some said stay in your lane. Know your place. Don't rock the boat. But I came to fight for those without powerful protectors. Share this story of courage. Election night arrived. Crockett's victory was called swiftly a decisive win in a once reliable red state. Exit polls showed accountability as the top issue. "The people have spoken," she declared in her victory speech. "They want leaders who fight for justice." Share this historic moment. As she prepared for the Senate, Crockett knew the battle was perpetual. Power would always test limits. Systems would always need reform. But democracy, she had shown, works when citizens demand accountability and when courage asks, "Why is the truth being hidden?" Hit notification to never miss these stories of political courage. Asterisk disclaimer: this script presents a dramatized fictional narrative. In reality, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene's 2025 resignation stemmed from a public disagreement with President Trump regarding the release of Epstein-related documents. There is no evidence of the alleged confrontation, cover-up, or coordination with a transition team as depicted. Representative Jasmine Crockett did comment on the resignation, but the events described here are sensationalized fiction. Asterisk.